Do you in basketball we talk a lot about upside of a player, like and that has like a biggest space to grow still and get better, and we have underrated players. Do you
Uh-huh.
have anything that a cafe that or let's talk about a country, let's a country in terms of upside and coffee knowledge that you see that still has to grow, and one underrated coffee country in Europe specifically.
Hmm. Okay, that's a good question. So I think I will start with the underrated. I think the underrated, one of the underrated is definitely Ukraine, and
Mm,
eventually also Russia. But I think the Ukraine, because it's like the smaller, even smaller country, but like the level of the coffee scene itself is it's amazing. I mean, we been there for the first time maybe 2015, 16, and obviously because they are not like that integrated into Europe, so there's not like the huge number of tourism and like not as many people going to the the eastern countries to western.
yeah,
So there's it's not that many tourists, but like level of coffee and also their kind of the coffee heritage coming from brewing coffee of the Chesve or Ibrig, and the level of the barista skill is amazing. So I think that's definitely like the underrated is Ukraine. Um, when it comes to what is the upside, like some kind of like potential for growth, I think like there can be many. I think like when it comes to specialty coffee, I mean, because there are like certain regions, like like the former Yugoslavian countries, like Serbia, Croatia, where the coffee and like all the Balkan, where the coffee culture is really strong. Everybody loves coffee, but they love it the certain way, right? Like very strong and rather
yeah, yeah.
bitter and so on. But I think like when it comes to the potential for kind of entering the specialty coffee scene, perhaps from Europe, I would say like this region is can grow a lot.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I haven't. That's in Ukraine. I haven't traveled much in the last years, and I would be excited to explore that a little bit more. I saw in Moscow that because when the World Cup, the soccer World Cup was in Russia, I think they put a lot of and invest a lot of money in infrastructure in restaurants and cafes, and I think since then it started blossoming a little bit more in terms of like quality of food, quality of restaurants and cafes at the same time. I assume I know from what people told me afterwards because I have a lot of friends there.
Yeah.
But I
So
I
there's
would
there
be
is yes. So just short comment on what it can be interesting. So I think it's interesting how this coffee scene developed. Like if you compare kind of strong coffee cultures like Italy or Greece, where actually specialty coffee people have to make a change from from let's say bad coffee to good coffee or better tasting coffee.
yeah,
Interesting to Russia is that actually not that many people drank that much coffee before, right? So it's
yeah,
more like the tea, and so for them, like the transition also is slightly different because they are switching from tea to coffee, and so the dynamic and maybe also the speed is slightly different and can be even faster, like the adaptation.
yeah.
What is interesting is that I think the two former roasting world coffee roasting champions are from Russia. So it's
Wow.
meaning like the kind of coffee roasting scene is quite strong, or they have difficulties when it comes to kind of getting the green coffee beans right again through the logistics of it. But
Yes.
the
Yeah.
skills when it comes to skill of roasting, it seems they are really well developed. But we are not that as much exposed to it because again, like logistics issues.
Yeah, it's that those it's easier also, it's kind of hard in Moscow if you go, Moscow is huge, it's huge, so
Yeah, it's
when
huge.
when you go to a place you have to really map it out ahead of time when you walk in the old Arbat street, and then if there's any coffee shops you have to know ahead of time where to go, which region of Moscow to be precise with your exploring.